Ready, set, go. Time for the show. Joe Audio and my bro Paco. About to bring that laugh attack. Yeah, about that. Make you laugh out loud, cause this is where it's at.
This is the best podcast that you'll ever hear. It's nice and comforting just for your ears. We got gimmicks and skits with limitless wits, making other podcasters just quit. Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Commander Paco, posted up in the car like a Band-Aid.
What up, what up? It's your boy Joe Audio right here representing for Yeah About That podcast.
Yo. This is the Sledge Beat, the beat maker.
And this is Mean Gene Dark Mark from Down Under. Pleasure to be back.
Yes, good to have you guys here in the studio.
Thank you.
We have Sledge Beats, and in the Australia studio, we have Gene.
How you doing?
Yeah, so you guys, we're gathered here today to discuss a classic album review.
We've been gone for like, what, a month?
Yeah. No.
2 months? And
No.
you gotta say, we apologize to the audience.
No. Look,
Okay.
Sledge Beats, please tell us about your YouTube channel real quick. Tell us where they can find you and stuff.
I'm Sledge Beats, the beat maker. You could search that on YouTube in your search engine. Also, you could find me on Instagram under same thing, Sledge Beats, the beat maker. I'm all day with it. We spend a lot of time building beats, trying to build a YouTube channel right now. I got 22 subscribers, I think. So we're coming up pretty quick. It's only been a week, maybe week and a half. So I'm pretty impressed with the status. We're trying to build some more videos, get some more content. You know, hope you guys definitely like it. We're going to put a couple little parts of this segment of this show on there just to let you guys know that we're definitely going to be bringing it for the future.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and Instagram.
And hopefully we can give them that about that bump and get like one more subscriber.
At least. That's what happens. That's what happens.
Not like when you're at 23.
Yeah.
My mom, I could get her signed into Google, bro. We can get she could be number 24, you know?
Yeah, hopefully, man. Yeah, just set up a bunch of fake accounts. Gene, why don't you let them know where they can find you and your podcast and things of this nature?
Thank you, Paco, as always. Yes, Dark Marks podcast. Shout out Trench. Shout out Shogun. We are coming back. We're just, taking it easy for a moment. We are coming back. And shout out the Reverend and the Commander from No One Likes Us podcast. We've been working on a wee podcast called Man Bites Pod. Film reviews of films off the beaten track coming very, very soon. Back to you.
Okay, great. We're looking forward to that, definitely.
Thank you.
So, Paco, why have we all gathered here today?
We're gathered here today to discuss the classic album.
Classic album.
Yes. The album that we chose, or that I had chose, is it's Dubee AKA SugaWolf.
Yes.
It's 1996 album. It's classic Bay Area, and the reason I chose it is because I've been listening to it lately. I listened to it about 7 times or something at work.
Yeah.
Just driving around, and dude, I was like, we got to do this album, and we did.
Yeah, we did. We all listened to it, right, folks?
Yes, sir.
Every track,
Absolutely.
to, correct? Across all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I'm
So
saying?
we have Paco's 4-part secret recipe for doing.
We'll bust out with
classic.
Paco's 4-part secret recipe for creating a classic album review.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? We'll go ahead and get it started, man. Who wants to start it off?
I think you should start it off.
All right. The criteria part 1 is the beats, of course. And on a scale of 1 to 5,
Yeah.
you know what? I'll give these beats, I'll give them a 4, man. They're pretty solid, all of them. There's not a whack beat on here for me.
All
you know what I'm saying? I like it. I enjoy it.
Good, because some of us didn't.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh,
Okay,
controversy.
Gene, please.
Yo. The production. Yeah, I'll give it a 4. Fuck it. It is consistent from beginning to end. The style is, there all the way through. You feel it, definitely. 4 out of 5, Paco. Thank you.
And don't feel pressured by Paco to give it a 4 if you don't feel that way.
No.
Hey, it's a classic for a reason. And we're going to go ahead and hand it off to Anthony. Sledge Beats.
Sledge Beats.
Sledge Beats, please. On a scale of 1 to 5.
Respect the gimmick.
Scale to 1 to 5, I definitely give it a 4 too. The beats are definitely solid from beginning to end. I mean, this is the era when I was really coming up as a young kid. I mean, I graduated high school in '96. Yeah, I mean, it brings back a lot of memories. This is back when we were bumping that the Click, that E40, that Celly Cell, that Mac Mall. This is when we were really doing it. You know what I mean? And I mean, really seriously, I mean, this is great childhood music for myself. This is when I started sagging my pants a little bit, got my first pair of J's. That kind of thing. Or, when I remember when I got my first pair of Chucks, and a pair of Dickies and a t-shirt, we sitting out front, thinking we some little hoodlums. We were sitting out front bumping that Mac Mall, so this album Dubee definitely brings back a lot of that classic beat, that classic sound that I grew up with,
Yeah, that West Coast sound, man.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good album. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of the beats. I'm gonna say a 4.
Oh wow! I set the trends.
No, I wanted to go with a 4 before you even said that, because I would have said 5, but I feel like there was nothing that stood out on another level. Like these all could have been played potentially on the radio, but there was nothing that really like popped as far as the beats were like stuck in your mind. More the hooks and stuff, but we'll talk about that later. Just get stuck in your mind. The beats did not go. But 4.
I think it's more that era though, with some of that real gangster music, like some of those real gangsters. They weren't playing their music on the radio. They were hiding the real gangster rap music from us kids. So we really had to sort it out. You really had to hang out with the real crowds to find the real gangster music, So if they weren't playing it on the radio, you didn't know about it. Or everyone didn't really know about it. But when you heard a track,
that word of mouth type.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Dubee, he definitely brings, especially with that intro, the way that thing just starts to come in, it starts to unfold like straightening, getting all the crinkles out of your blunt wrap before you roll. You know what I mean? Just kind of straightening it all out, setting you all up, and then comes in with that old gangster classic beats. You know what I mean?
And one thing too that's kind of cool about the album, if you just play it all the way through, like the songs, they kind of just flow into each other because of the skits and stuff between it. Sure. So I think that also kind of just like doesn't necessarily let each track breathe, it stands out.
It was thought out.
Yeah.
Too. And also, if you play it from start to finish, in sync with the Wizard of Oz. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, the 2-minute mark. No.
Yeah.
One quick question, if I may. The production, is it indicative of the environment? Is it music of the place where it's from? Their sun, is it a sun drenched thing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That classic California.
Yeah, that's like California Bay Area.
Yeah.
That's that.
I get it. I feel it, from here, Brisbane, Australia. And, having looked up the place as well and thinking about it as well, the East Coast has that cold, gritty, it's always fucking snowing, feeling to it. This has that more laid back, definitely, they've got
that Bay Area music, that really put, rap on the map. I mean, it's really some of the music that really transcend a lot of the music that we had, in that genre. Things have really changed now, but I mean, music has come a long way, but from styles like that old classic, San Francisco, style to, just all the way through there, those guys were really building some real solid, hits. And like I said, you weren't really hearing about all of it, but it was really there if you were willing to search that content. And addiction, you would be addicted to a lot of that music,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Paco, I have a question for you.
What's up?
If you were to maybe do a rating, we'll just pick 2 numbers, 1 to 5. What would you give the lyrics on this?
Oh man, I didn't even get introduced to right. Okay, let's go into criteria 2. The lyrics.
Okay. Thank you.
Scale of 1 to 5. I'm gonna give it a 5, man. I like the arrogance. I like the slang. On this album, if you've never heard Bay Area music, or if you haven't heard too much of it other than what's on the radio, this really gives you some insight on the slang, the lingo, the arrogance. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like every single slang that came out the Bay, this is what it was like. This is like almost like a dictionary of slang. You hear it all. You've heard this in every single Bay Area type of rap song. heard these lyrics.
Yes, Gene, what do you give the lyrics?
Yeah, I'll give the lyrics a 5 as well there, Paco. Basically because what you're saying, and I'm beginning to understand the slang, hearing more albums from the Bay Area, and beyond.
Yeah.
And the way this guy places his lyrics, the way he writes, basically his rhyme structure as well, if you listen very closely, is actually really, really good. Yeah. I mean, it's not like he has the biggest vocabulary in the world, but for the words and the phrases and the slang that he uses and the way he places them for his age, really, really good. Definitely a 5. Back to you.
Show.
Yeah, Sledge
Beats.
Again, you got to look back into that era. You got a lot of guys, they weren't going to high school. This is towards the end of the major crack epidemic. You got a lot of poverty. Being black. In LA. It didn't really come from education. It came from the streets. So it's I'm not really gonna wanna really grade him as far as his vocabulary goes, but I gotta say that he did spend some time choosing his words. Yeah. He did spend some time writing his lyrics down. You could tell by, from his skits all the way to just some of the ways that he spits. You can tell that he actually wrote his lyrics down. He put some thought into them. It takes, everyone says, it's how easy it is, that you could just jump on, a microphone and really do it. And that time it was really, really difficult, to really be noticed and to really get your opportunity to get tapes out. And you remember back then it was mainly tapes and CDs. You weren't, you didn't have any internet anyway to get music out. So I think I would definitely come up with probably a 4 as far as his lyrics go. Yeah, I think he's definitely dedicated. 5 I think is overstepping the boundaries. Because you can tell by his lyrics, and I'm not knocking him anyway, but you can tell he doesn't have an encyclopedia in his back pocket.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean? You could tell he just used the words that he knew that he knew how to use. Yeah. And plus, he probably used some other words that he wasn't really comfortable with, but you can tell he really stepped out of his boundaries and really, really did a good job with his album.
Yeah, no, that's true. I agree with the vocabulary not being necessarily as extensive as, like the East Coast rappers, but yeah, because it is a party type album. It's an album that you can just bump and like you're not really listening to it, you're just feeling it, you're just the vibe and all that.
Yes, Gene.
Yeah, please. No disrespect with what I was saying. There was merely a point of contrast. Yeah, like there's rappers out there with great vocabularies who say nothing at all. You know what I mean?
A lot of East Coast rappers.
Yeah. Yeah, but he took the vocabulary what he had from his environment, and he scribed poems out of that shit. Yeah, with his structure. Yeah, so I would say no disrespect.
Yeah, that Bay Area slang, that Bay Area lingo, like that was very influential. At this time when it came out, like I would imagine possibly one of the reasons why maybe he didn't take off as far as he went. Some people couldn't understand it. Like I know that if I wasn't familiar with some of that Bay Area lingo, I wouldn't be able to understand a lot of what he was saying. But since I've listened to so many artists throughout the years, I'm more familiar with it. And one thing I will say, this dude sounds almost exactly like Baby Bash. Baby Bash from back in the day when he was more Bay Area centric, when he was rapping out of Vallejo, he sounded just like him. So that was kind of weird and confusing for me at sometimes because I'd be listening to him like, oh, is this featuring Baby Bash? But nah, he but they all grew up together around the same area, so it's very, it's understood,
Sure, and the music really mixed in that same genre for a really long time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, when it goes all the way back, as soon as some of Dubee's beats came on, man. I mean, that's the first thing I started thinking about was that Mac Mall, that old Pooh Man kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just like that Mac Dre.
They all work with the same producers, Mac Mall and them, and all that. Yeah,
so you can see very close similarities from. It could be from similar builds, having individuals that are just working on the same projects, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But it was definitely what the ear wanted to hear at that time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 4, just because the wide range of words wasn't necessarily top notch.
Sure.
But the lingo, the slang, that's what gave it that 4, because it was that in itself was creative.
Yeah. Arrogance really shows, man. Yeah. That's why I like it. It's so cool.
I'd rather I like the way E40 said that linguistic abilities, that linguistic, what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a little more silver with his tongue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing,
Yeah.
And I think that in a rap genre or in a hip hop music or in any kind of music, I think that gifted gab is always going to take you to the next level.
Yeah. Shout out to Fody Water. I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. What up, Fody?
It might be him.
What
Okay.
up, Fody?
So we're gonna go ahead and we're
We're gonna switch gears here.
No.
And we're gonna actually talk about hooks.
Yeah, Jay, why don't you start it off, man?
Hooks, okay. So I did have I had a little bit of a tough time kind of deciding what I wanted to give the hooks because there's different aspects of it. Like the hooks are really catchy as far as what they're saying, but also some of the hooks are kind of like you can tell they just grabbed a random person to record the hook. Like I know me and Paco have said this before with a lot of like even Mac Dre and like just the whole Bay Area, like you could feel like the gutta type vibe. Like, maybe they paid some like groupie to sing some of these hooks, or like maybe they had some just random dude that one of their homies just do it, whatever the case might be. That kind of like took a little bit of it away from like the polished sound. So with that, I'm gonna give the hooks. I'm gonna go with a 3, just because.
All right, let's get a better opinion. Sledge Beats.
Sledge isn't gonna be your friend when it comes down to hooks, man.
I
gotta say that there wasn't really too many cuts on here when I was really singing along, though, man. I mean, but then again, when I was a young guy, a young cat, I never heard of Dubee, you know what I mean? I never got an opportunity to listen to his music back then. I'm sure I would have rocked it, but you got to think in that era, like I was really bumping a lot of that Ghetto Boy stuff too. What I mean? Scarface and Bushwick and Willie D, these guys, they had a major influence on my young life, major influence. So when you want to talk about rappers, and if there's, I keep going back to it, that E40 stuff, E40, I could really relate to him when I was, 16, 17 years old. These are the Mac Dre, the Mac Mall, these are guys that these are albums that I really could relate to. So, even listening to Dubee's album now, I know for a fact that I really would have been able to relate to that album when I was coming up as a younger, a little G. But first thing I got to say, man, is there wasn't really too much on there that I was really singing along to. With that Ghetto Boys Resurrection album type thing, man, I know every single song, every hook. I knew even all the intros, outros, and just all the little stuff that they had on their conversations with Larry Hoover on the phone. Like I knew word for word, verbatim, because I was addicted to these albums, Ghetto Boys albums. I was addicted to these albums. So I'm going to say, I could probably give Dubee, maybe I could probably roll with Joe with the 3 as far as like the hooks and stuff go, because it really sometimes seemed like someone that's singing the hook, necessarily shouldn't be singing the hook, but it's just who's in the studio right now, what works at the moment. I got a deadline, that kind of thing, sometimes can be really crucial when your album comes out.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Paco, yeah.
Do you want to go next, or you want?
I give these hooks a 5.
5.
They're beautiful to me. I can't believe it. No, so these people, that you say are not professionals doing the hooks, it brings that realness to me, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, it definitely. But that's also too, I think, one of the reasons why he wasn't a mainstream artist, and artists like E40, for instance, were mainstream because they had more of a polished sound on their music.
Yeah, not everything's for everybody, but this is right up my alley. So it's for me mostly, and people that like those kind of hooks.
Yeah, no, they're good. But
I'm just giving it a 5. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just letting you know why I like it.
And you gotta understand, you when something flows for you or something vibes for you. I mean, normally you can listen to a whole album from the first song to the very end of the song one time before you even realize, okay, I don't like this. You're usually right about song 2 or song 3. So if sometimes you don't have to listen to a whole album to know that, or sometimes you can listen to the whole thing one time and you go, I won't listen to it again. You know, I did listen to it the one time, but I won't listen to it again.
You know, I've had times where I'll like, oh, that song is garbage, and the next thing you know, it's like one of my favorite songs, just because I keep hearing it everywhere. And then I'm like, oh, you know what, this is actually a good song. But I think, I might have given it a 3 back when maybe a few years ago. But right now, I'm giving it a 5 because it really grew on me. I just kept revisiting it because of Mac Dre. You know, I was listening to a lot of Mac Dre. And so that brought me back to this, and I'm like, oh, these are sick. I can't believe how much I didn't like this back. You know,
no, I mean, I think we should get a better opinion on this. So, Gene, can you go ahead and give us your take on the hook?
And thank you, Mr. Hijacker.
No,
he always hijacks.
I'm just saying,
Mr. Hijacker.
Yeah, you just said that. Need someone with a better opinion, and then that other person agreed with me.
You know, and you gotta ask your followers, you know what I mean, and the people out there, you know what I mean. What do they really think as far as like our opinions go? You know, do they think Joe's right? Are they running all day with Paco? You know, or they think Sledge Beats is right, or they don't care if he's right. Maybe they might have their own opinion. Or maybe someone that actually listened to that album, you know, day in day out, like I was listening to that Ghetto Boys, that knows, you know, the Dubee albums, you know, from word to word, you know, every part of the hooks and song, you know, that's the person you want to talk to. That person,
for sure,
you know, can actually tell you what he was going through at those times that really made things really stick out for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gene, please let us know what your thoughts are on the hooks.
And tell us who's right.
Absolutely. Okay, the hooks, as you know, they're fellas, like, you know, it's my kind of like role side gimmick on here to be the East Coast guy. There's not a lot of hooks in East Coast rap. So I don't usually go for hooks, but Yet has taught me the way of the hook, the purpose of the hook. And when it works, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, as it is on my thing. And that's what we do. And when those two roll together, for me, that is just pure soulful bliss. Yeah. Joel, when we did the Puff Daddy macaroni with the cheese on the No Way Out moment, it's one of those musical moments for me. These two combined in the way they flow together, I love it. But Sledge Beats, you're right, I do have to be more reserved with what I'm, can't be too carried away with how I review. So for those two alone, I have to give it a 4 though, because of that macaroni and the cheese music moment. Make sense?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, the guy doesn't build houses, he's say me, I'm an old meat cutter. You don't want to give me a hammer. I mean, my dad was a carpenter, so I probably could build you a house. But I mean, when you really deal with it, you don't want to give somebody that doesn't build houses for a living an opportunity to build your house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you have an artist that's not their thing, and you just say, well, no, it doesn't matter. I just need you to do this one part and then I can move on. That one part could prove to be extremely crucial.
Yeah. And that just ties back to arrogance. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know, and I like it. That's what I like.
No, you know what it reminds me of? Like, how sometimes we talk about the East Coast rappers, how they're talking, they do the verses. Like, that's their main concentration. They want to get the most lyrical verses down. Sure. And then they don't care about the hook.
Yeah.
They just do a lackluster hook. That's
agreed. A lot of the time, yes.
What this Bay Area thing is, except
like when we reviewed the DMX album.
Yeah, exactly. Man,
I must have missed that one. Yeah, I must have missed.
So did I. I got to go back and check that.
You would have been upset.
No, well, we just talk a lot about Swiss beats. Like, the beats are not good nowadays. Yeah. Like, they didn't hold up because I wasn't like into DMX hardcore. Only the radio songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Swiss Beats on Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. That's the album we reviewed.
Like I said, I spent some time in the studio with that dude. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I was the same way with his albums. Back then, I was really bumping that shit. I mean, I was really bumping that shit. They were like, man, you bumping that DMX shit? I was like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was bumping, you know what I mean? And not only that, I mean, he had that way to keep, and that's just it. See, like, to catch my attention with something like that, like, he had my full attention. That there's artists out there, there's not very many artists out there that can catch my full attention throughout their album. So this is where people go, oh, you're picky. Oh, well, let's listen to this. I'm like, well, you can play whatever you want, but don't expect my opinion to be all 100% good. And I'm not crapping on anybody. I mean, when you talk about somebody's music, I don't think my music is actually, you know, something that's really all that good, but I'm going to keep pushing and I'm going to get better to get to where I want to get. So then when I put out my craft, it's going to be something I feel really, really confident about building.
Yeah.
That's key for me, man. Key for me is just to make sure you know what you're doing. You know what color pants you're going to put on before you put them on. Don't get dressed in the dark.
Absolutely. And Dubee, I think, was arrogant and confident enough with his music to give up his football career and do his raps. Yeah. Sure. So you're talking about that arrogance that comes through. It does shine, as you say.
Made a horrible decision.
You know, it wasn't horrible, you know, but see, a decision like that's a career changing move. I mean, you got guys 100%. Making millions of dollars playing ball. So and you got to think there was guys back then making millions of dollars playing ball, but you got a lot of guys back then that were not making millions making music. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, I mean that you said that. I mean, I kind of believe that, but to a certain extent, I don't believe it. And I'll tell you why I don't believe it. Because I see something as easy. I don't want to say easy, but something as easy as playing football when you're really good at it. Like if that's what you can do. You can seriously do more there, buy your mom a house. I mean, these are the things that we think about when we're young kids growing up. We think if we make it big, the first thing we want to do is buy our mom a house. We want to get mom a car. Mom ain't never had a car. We want to get mom a car. So these are the things. But there's no way I would give up a dream to be a football player. Back in '96, and I went to school with Mike Bibby, bro. I graduated with Mike Bibby. You know what I mean? So you got to think these guys, like a lot of the people that I went to school with there at Shadow Mountain and Shea Middle School were very successful. You know, a lot of the people that I went to school with are very successful. A lot of them are dead too. You know, and you be a little, I was a little blown away by how these kids were growing up and they were being pushed so hard by their parents. And I was just kind of hanging out. But my mom, she pushed me to do good. She didn't push me to do more than she ever did. She always said, you know, definitely do better than she did, but she never pushed me to, you know, you're going to be the governor of this city or you're going to be, you know, the greatest photographer in the world. You know, my mom wasn't like that. My mom was more like, let me enjoy my childhood type thing. So I think that if you're willing to quit a football career or an opportunity to play football, I mean, to really play football, to go make music when your music is so uncertain. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maybe it was school. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it's more football, less school. You know, that's how a lot of guys are. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe he didn't want to go to school, but he wanted to play football. I could see guys giving up a football career, giving up millions of dollars to make these decisions if they're not willing to put in the effort. Yeah. So it's easy to go home and build a little studio in your living room and sit there and work a 9-to-5 job and sit there in your living room and work on an album for the next 2 years and say you sell it and say, you know, you're doing all this promotion and stuff, but you never make that $250,000 or that $500,000 or that 200,000 or 100,000 or 40,000 or 20,000, $10,000 an album. You know, this sinks you. Yeah. And then you think about the time, you know, 20 years to kick your ass. 20 years will run by so fast. These kids, they don't believe it. But I'll tell you a story when I was just walking down Bell Road and it was all dirt. Yeah. Go believe that.
Terrible.
Dirt.
Yeah. You know, the next thing you're going to say is you don't believe that Mac 10 gave us Sports to Sling keys, but he blamed it on his knees. I mean, you know, see,
Mr.
No, Dubee probably, I mean, it's all probably passion. Who knows?
Yeah, man. No, I think that's the thing too. Like if you're, and especially with the maybe hanging out with the crowd, because there's a lifestyle that comes along with the rapping and the way these are rapping. There's a lifestyle that comes with that. You get addicted to that, then nothing else matters, and that's what I kind of think happened with this.
Who knows, man?
But you remember way back then, it was not cool. It was not cool to sag your pants and be a bookworm.
Oh, it was way different.
It was not cool to hang out with gang members and get good grades. It just wasn't good.
So they were like, not that it wasn't cool. It just wasn't possible.
But they were like, you want to hang out with us? You got to pull a couple D's, bro. Like get suspended a couple times.
Grab a few D's.
Grab a couple D's, bro. Then we can tell everybody that you're at least down.
You got
straight A's on your report card. You the downest dude in the clique. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now when you think about it, where's that brainiac? So when you got one guy that was in your clique, regardless if it was a gang, or school buddies, or how it was coming up, everyone needs that one buddy that's smarter than them. that one buddy that pushes them to go do something different, something bigger than they were gonna do if they didn't have that one friend. But see, me, that's the difference between me. I don't need that friend to push me to do what I need to do. So some people will say, okay, well, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. Okay, well, what comes along with that? Well, I got a bunch of buddies and stuff. They're gonna help me with it. But none of them really say, or the ones that are really, really serious about it, if you're really, really serious about it, chances are you're not gonna include anybody. Why? Because if someone lets you down, it could be devastating to what you're working on.
Yeah, that's just life. You just gotta learn that. You know, you can't be told that.
Yeah,
Right.
and that kind of brings up another criteria, talking about people around you, features.
Yeah, features.
So let's go ahead and get into criteria number 4 with the features.
Gene, why don't you start this off? No, you know what? Sledge Beats. No, me. I'll start it off. Features. I'll give it a
How
5.
about me?
You know, we should have a wheel. Just spin the wheel.
Yeah, we should, dude.
Sure.
That's a good idea. Yeah, a little paper wheel with a little little pointer finger on it.
Oh yeah, now I like it.
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, man,
So
yeah,
okay, Paco, what do you?
I give the features a 5. They really held their own, man. Especially that Mac Dre song,
Dude, that was the. I
Yeah.
wanted to pick that as my favorite song, but only because Dubee wasn't on it.
Yeah,
I didn't pick it.
yeah. But you know, the features all on point with Vallejo, California. You know what I'm saying? Bay Area. It was all arrogance. The entire album is just one big arrogant show, and I loved it. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
5. All right. I can feel that.
Go ahead, Sledge Beats. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Why you pointing?
Yeah, he pointed Joe
Yeah,
and says,
yeah.
hey, Sledge Beats, you go ahead.
That's my little trick I do.
I'm probably gonna say I'm probably gonna say the same thing as far as features go, because a lot of I really didn't know anybody on there. I mean, it wasn't really a red hot album for me. It really just I can't really say that there's something specific that I really liked about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that, because I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna, set you guys up to do the same thing. I'm not gonna.
You know, that's why I like these album reviews. Not everybody likes the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I love this album.
Yeah, 100%.
This guy, Sledge Beats, probably, he could go with or without. You know what I mean?
Sure, I could definitely go without, but
Yeah.
I could go with
See?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing
And-
when we did the an album review on the Weeknd's album. Like,
Oh,
do me and Gene?
let's not open this one. Please.
The infamous weekend review.
Yeah.
I should have been here for that.
Next weekend album, you'll be here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, no, it's not for everyone, but that's good, regardless of what you say. Like, if you like it or you don't like it.
But the key is to not be offended if someone doesn't like what you like.
Exactly,
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And not take it to heart.
Yeah, and don't just hate because you want to
You
hate.
know what I'm saying?
Even you are.
Anyway, yeah. So, but on a scale of 1 to 5, like, I mean, what would you give it? Like, in your honest opinion, for features?
I would definitely come with a 3.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I didn't know too many heads on there. Beats though, I could definitely do those beats all day, man. It's just West Coast beats, man. They just really do something for me. And you got to think, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I moved to Houston, Texas when I was 7. I moved to Long Beach, California when I was 10. I lived in LA for a while. We lived in Wilmington for a while, so I worked my way around California for that 5 years I was there before we came here to Arizona. I'm not going to say that I'm a California guy, but I'm going to say that I did spend some time there in poverty in LA, and living in the Holland Hotel. I don't know if anyone knows anything about that, but look it up. You know anything about the Holland Hotel? We were living there. We were broke. That was life then, so I got to say those beats, they just bring back a lot of memories, regardless of if I'm from East Coast, West Coast, or whatnot. I think that a lot of those beats you could really relate to.
Yeah, the beats were arrogant.
That's just if you had to describe this album.
Speaking of arrogant,
if you had to describe this album in one word, that's your word, right?
Yeah, basically, man.
Okay.
The whole Bay Area is how I would describe it.
I'll go ahead and go next. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna give this, as far as features. I mean, it was kind of hard to tell the difference between artists because they were so in sync with each other. Like, again, I thought I heard Baby Bash on this album several times. He wasn't even featured on the album. But like Mac Dre, I mean, all his lingo, the way he raps, is exactly what Dubee says. And then I don't really know what on the other features who their names were. I probably could just go on a bucket list of Bay Area rappers and pick out.
Sure.
I would have said this is who it's featuring.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give the features a 3 as well, just because there's nothing that got brought to it. Nothing like those features didn't stand out,
Right.
Yeah.
and elevate the album.
I agree. They just kind of blended in, but that's why I liked it because
And that's another thing, like when you have a really strong feature on an album, when you got somebody that can really bring something, that's what you want to feature on your album. And don't get me wrong, like you don't want to, like if you have friends or buddies or group members or individuals that are working with you, that are helping with you, you don't want to tell them or cancel them an opportunity to be on your album because they're not as good as you.
Yeah.
You just need to make sure that if it's your album, that the parts that you select or the parts that you allow them to adjust themselves on, you have to make sure that it's fitting for them.
Yes.
So it has to be something that works for them if it's gonna work for you. You don't want to come up with an idea that works for you, doesn't work for them, but you're gonna have them do it anyway. It's kind of like we were talking about with the vocals and some of the skits and stuff like that. It's like, okay, yeah, you're in a car, you're riding in a car, your buddy's back there choking off a doobie, and you guys are cracking some jokes. It's cool in that YouTube type of center, back then when there wasn't like a YouTube where it's kind of like you got everybody sitting around and everybody's all laughing. You could kind of get a visual back then off of tapes and off of CDs. You could get a visual. All these guys riding in a car, laughing their asses off, smoking a doobie on the way to wherever they were going. 2 guys in a truck, they're in the trunk, they're on their way to the movies. You know what I mean?
Wow.
This kind of thing that they used, the stuff the stupid stuff that we used to do. But when there's like an intro like that and the guys are in a car and you can hear them laughing and one guy's in the back coughing and the guys are talking about some shit has nothing to do with the album or nothing to do with nothing else.
Yeah.
It tends to kind of give you something to relate to.
Yeah, it's like movies for the blind or something.
Sure. Raise curtain. Raise curtain. Cut curtain. Back to the album.
Gene, please give us your thoughts on the features.
Mine's a 3. The features are all good. I don't think there's a particular standout. Probably Mac Dre, actually. I take that back. Mac Dre is probably the standout.
Yeah, for real.
But I need to know more about these guys, basically.
Yeah.
So 3 means out of 5 basically traditionally means good, and they are all good. Mac Dre, the standout. Once I know more, I could, say more about them. But for now, a 3. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Mac Dre did a whole song on the album.
A whole song. Because he was saying at the end.
That's a feature.
I just got pinned, and he let
Fresh
me get
out
on
the
here.
Better Valleys.
Yes.
Okay, so you know what? We're gonna tally up the totals. Why don't we go ahead and quickly just give people a verse that you like or whatever song, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
Gene, why don't you start it off?
The first verse of That's What We Do, please. And I chose this verse because I find it one of the best examples on the album of Dubee taking the slang and penning it really, really well. Structure beautifully, everything's in there.
Yeah, that's a great example. Jay, why don't you go ahead, choose a verse for the people to hear?
Okay. So, of all the songs, I would say the song that stood out the most to me. I don't know how to talk.
I was about to point that out.
Yeah, but I did it first. So, no, the song that stood out the most was My Thing. Just because that hook, I'm still hearing that hook right now in my mind. And then the beat comes in, and then his lyrics, it all just was more of a grand thing. And that one I think was a radio type song. So that's probably why it stood out the most to me.
The video is crazy.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. So, but My Thing, first verse, and let's get into that.
All right, great choice. I love that song.
Definitely love that song.
Yeah.
Sledge
Beats, you got a song that you.
And you don't want to start with me, but I'm gonna tell you though. When that shit comes out though, and that fool comes out and he's like, I'm a hog. Like,
Yeah.
that shit does it for me.
Yeah.
That type of shit though really does it for me though. I mean, when
Hilarious.
I'm a hog.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not, like, you know? And it's crazy because I was actually sitting back thinking of that, and I was like, man, why didn't he say this? Why didn't he say this? Why didn't he say this? Because that hook. I mean, it was just. There's so much there. But there's just so much there that he really could have done.
Yeah.
You know, but that hook alone does it for me, man. It does. It's just I could just that kind of like. I could see a video for that, kind of like that old Busta Rhymes, you know, that what you gonna do? I said, or give me some more. Thing where he's moving on real fast, you know, down the thing, or he's down the thing and he's just kind of moving. He's like, I'm a hog. And he's just pushing people out of the thing, walking down the aisle. I'm a hog.
Almost like a Redman. Redman has songs like that too, like where he just like real like arrogant and just like move out the way type of thing, and he's like just pushing people. I forget, he has a video that came out not too long ago like that where he's just pushing people out the way. And like,
So let's get into that real quick. Okay, so I'm just a hog. Yeah, it's such a good song. You know what? I picked the verse I picked first YBB Bomb. Okay, you know, I love that song. That hook is just dope to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Really captures the album for me.
I'm gonna say, you know, I couldn't relate to it the most, man. The beats are banging though, man. I could bang that thing all day, man. Like back in the day, I had the 215s in my trunk, man. Like old Cadillac, man. That thing shaking the earth, man. That's something like that. Like, and this is back in the era when they made like bass lines. You know what I mean? When the guys were like,
for
not
sure.
Everything was so digital module.
Not everything was
as
so
much as it is. Or
Great. 100.
Animated the way it is, you know. Back then, you know, hey, dudes, you know, on an MPC, you know, banging out at 808, you know what I mean?
Like I would
say
say more automated, right? Today it seems more automated. Back then it seems like you had to really put something into it. I would say
digital, more digital, not automated, but a little too digital.
Yeah, it's ones and zeros now versus a wavelength.
Well, wavelength, you know, and that makes a big difference when you're building beats, especially when you get an old guy like me. I need a beat machine. I need a workstation.
And it's MPCs and portable at that. If you guys want to find out how to get a portable MPC
one, how to make your
check
MPC
out his
portable.
YouTube channel.
Sure, check it out. Come on by.
All right, so
subscribe.
Get the totals going. I got to use the restroom.
All right,
let's get the totals going.
So, who do you want me to tell first?
Tell me first.
Okay, so you gave us a 19.
Yeah,
a 19 out of 20.
This. I love this album. Okay, I'll bump this. You know, I'll still bump this a bunch of more times. You know what I'm saying? I really do love this album. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I highly recommend it. But
would you like to excuse yourself or
no? I'll wait. I'll try to wait.
All right. So
go ahead, Sledge Beats.
Sledge Beats. Okay, so Sledge Beats gave this a 14 out of 20. Yeah. Do you think that accurately represents like how you feel about the album? Should have been higher or lower?
I'll be honest, man. Maybe one time we'll sit back and we'll rate that Ghetto Boys, and then you guys could maybe seat these two albums, you know, back in 96. You know, seat these. I think actually that Resurrection came out, I think, in 92.
Let me tell you, bro, 96 West Side Connection was my favorite. Okay. But
you know, maybe we can review that one too. You know,
I was
definitely bouncing the hell out of that. But you know, ever since, you know, Jackin' for Beats the Predator album, that's when Ice Cube was Ice Cube to me.
Yes.
After that, though, man, it really just didn't do it for me.
It was Hollywood after that.
It's just too Hollywood for me. And I mean, I'm not knocking the guy because all the stuff that the guy said he was never gonna do, he did.
Yeah, but you know what? Ice Cube's my favorite rapper. So let's just stop.
It hurts too much.
You're bleeding, Baku. I cut deep.
No, I get it though. He's a hypocrite. He's not gangster, but you know what? He's
definitely always one of my favorite rappers. Don't get me wrong.
He's an artist.
I said, you can't beat that Jackin' for Beats. That shit was for real.
Jackie, you know what I mean? Too. Yeah.
Or that all day, man. That dude was a gangster back in. This is back when I was still bumping that Ice-T shit.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention his new Body Count album. Do a review on that. That new Body Count album. Now that's some
I'm down for that.
That is some serious shit.
Yeah. So you think that's about what you would give it? About a 14?
Yeah. I mean, you know, 13, 14. You know, I'm not. you know, I don't want to knock the guy. You know, he definitely had a good album. He definitely had something that was definitely bumpable in '96. I had a little bit of trouble bumping it, you know, but just playing it continuous.
You know, if you never listened to it back in the day, and like an album from back in the day, and then you listen to it now, it's not really the same. Sure. You know what I mean?
You can't relate to it like you would if you were young, like we were. You know, we were into so much stuff. Young, we were into so much.
Yeah.
But a lot of the friends that we had, everyone was like listening to the same music. We were all kind of click type thing. So that helped you pick a lot of the genres and the music you listen to also.
Yeah. Not for me. My friends all bump like rock and roll.
Yeah, I'll be right back, you guys. You know what I'm saying? Joe and Gene are going to give their thoughts on their numbers. Okay. And then we'll be back after that. And I'll be back after that.
Okay. So Paco, as he makes his abrupt departure from the podcast. So Gene, on a scale of 1 to 20, you gave this a 16. You think that actually represents what you think about it? Maybe higher, lower?
It's probably a little higher. You know, Paco, his passion is infectious, and we were chopping it up on Messenger yesterday, listening to it as well. But it is a party album. It is a sun-drenched, lean-back, gangster lean album. Yeah, it is pimperistic. I think was a term that came from one of the songs there. That's what we do, and I thought this is it. That just sums it up. Yeah. So in the right context, right placement, this album goes off. Absolutely. So I think probably 15 to be realistic, but 16, I'm not mad at it. I'll leave it at 16 there. Joel, thank you.
All right. Yeah. So now I gave this a score of a 14. I think maybe it depends on my mood. It depends on when I'm playing this music, because there are times when I would rate this higher. I feel I would rate it higher because of that Bay Area sound and that party vibe. Like, some of the songs you can play, like especially that My Thang song, it's still playing in my mind right now. Like that, I mean, you could bump that at a party and that would hit hard. Sure. You know, and if we were just talking about that vibe, feeling off that, you know, maybe I would score this a lot higher. But there's also other times, like sometimes when you're listening to an album, when you're maybe not familiar with it, or you're listening to it more of because you have to, like, as more of a job essentially for the podcast, we have to listen to the album. Sure. I think an obligation. Yeah. I think sometimes that makes you score a little bit lower, because there's been times when we've listened to albums that I've never heard of the artist, I've never heard any of their music. I listen to it and then it just grabs me and then it just takes me away, and I'm like excited about it and surprised of how good it is. And then there's other albums that, like, oh man, I gotta listen to the next track. Let me just finish this so I can get an opinion on it. But this one, it's kind of up and down with me. There's times when me and Paco have been driving around just playing this music, and it's all that matters at the time, that music, his music. But I say 14 is probably a little on the low end. I might have gave it a little higher if you caught me on a different day.
Nice.
So yeah. So with that being said, man, across the board, I mean, I think this is definitely an album that should be listened to if you want to listen to the Bay Area lingo. I mean, the Bay Area sound, that whole everything that came from there, all the artists that came out of that area, all the music that came out of the area. Sure. This is a good representation of it. So you can check it out. Other artists, again, like E40. That's kind of like the big. Yeah, I need to. And maybe even Too Short, but Too Short wasn't as linguistic as the others. You still got
to think, you know, where would E40 be if there was no Too Short?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think about these kind of things, you know, Too Short, when Too Short was putting that shit down, the first time I heard a Too Short album, I was 9 years old, maybe even 8 years old, you know, and you got to think, I'm 43 now. So when you think, you know, Too Short was putting out, and I mean, this dude was putting out some shit. My mom, I remember the first time me and my brother got our hands on a fucking Too Short tape, and we got that thing playing. You want to talk about violence? You want to talk about madness? My mom was livid. She took that tape. Hey, not only did she take the tape and smash it, but she cut the wires off the fucking speakers to the radio. Oh, she never wanted to You never wanted to listen to the radio again.
Dang.
She was not impressed.
I did not do none of that. Freaky Tales, man. My mom didn't do that, man. And he had an album that was out way before that. It was like a double album. And I remember there was it was a double CD album. This is crazy too. And then on the cover there was a condom.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
I can't think of what the name of the album is right now, man. We're gonna have to get that in the description so people can check that out. But we're talking Too Short when Too Short was like 17, 18 years old, 19 maybe.
We'll look it up right here.
There we go.
That's young. Yeah, 18, 19. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh man,
Realize,
back. It goes.
yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes back way back when I was, and I was bumping that 2 Live Crew shit too. But there's one album. It's way before. It's like 1987.
No, 87. Okay.
It's not going to be up there.
You said 87?
Yup, 1987.
What is that? Is that his sophomore, his first album?
Okay, there's Born to Mac. No, it's going to be before that. So what did I say? 87? Check 84.
Well, let's see here. Let's go to images.
And what up, Rachel, on the chat there?
All right. So we're trying to look for not Born to Mac.
Yeah, not Born to Mac. Take that out of there. Yeah, there you go. Too Short. 1984. Boom.
Yeah, we need to hire a guy that does this for us.
Yeah, we need a young Jamie.
You always do this kind of thing so you don't
Yeah,
take all the time out of your podcast. You can always add a bunch of stuff in the description. Try like 82.
Well, we're just going to do album covers or images here.
It's not up there. It's going to be way before.
Yeah.
All of that shit.
Yeah, it's probably one more of his underground type albums when he was first coming out because he used to slang it.
My mom was going to kill me. Man, and we got that tape from a homeboy at school.
We've gone on a Too Short nostalgia trip here.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Too Short.
Who's Too Short? Okay. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and end the show right now.
No. We're just gonna take a break.
We're gonna take a break, and then we'll
gonna
be back with What's Whack and recommendations.
That sounds great.
All right.
All right, man.
Get
Give me about 10.
Get the
About 10.
yeah.
Hold on.